Well, Miss Tasha is back, and can you guess what Miss Tasha, look at even the hat. Now, normally I do wear purple, but you know, the theme is, what is the theme today? I even have an apple. It's apples! I know. So we're going to read all these hysterical, wonderful stories about apples. All right. Of course, you know that I still love chocolate. And of course, I still have my infamous voice. All right. So today, the first one is Apple Trouble. And it's by Ragnall Scalaman, illustrated by Michael Terry, copyrights 2006, and the publisher is Scholastic Incorporated. All right. This is fun, and if you were, and I got this as a birthday gift from Little Oak in 2011. That's how long ago. That's 11 years ago, I know. Okay, here we go. This is a cute little hedgehog, by the way. Hedgehog had just finished building her winter nest under an old apple tree. Not too large, not too small, just right for a nice long winter nap. Suddenly, a juicy red apple, plop! Oh my gosh, it landed on her back. Ouch! Squeaked Hedgehog. She curled up in a spiny ball, hoping it would fall off, but when she uncurled, the juicy red apple was still there. Hedgehog tried to squeeze herself and the apple into her beautifully built new nest, but she couldn't get in. Oh, not with an apple on her back. Oh, the nest was too small. Oh dear. So first she sees a squirrel. Yes, and of course what does the squirrel have in his hands? Nuts. With an armful of brown nuts. Well, he pushed and he struggled and he heaved and he tugged. But the juicy red apple stayed where it was, where still 3 of the squirrel's brown nuts got caught in the hedgehog's spine. So now she had a juicy red apple and 3 brown nuts on her back. Oh dear, wailed Hedgehog. Winter's coming and I can't get into my nest. What will I do? Try rolling on your back, snorted Pig, trotting up. That'll get rid of all of it. So she gets on her back and she's moving around and everything. And she paddles her legs in the air and everything, and she twists and rolls. Oh gosh. Well, is it all gone? She asked. Pig shook his head. No. The juicy red apple and the 3 small brown nuts were still there. So was a small green pear and a crumpled brown leaf. Oh dear, sighed Hedgehog, rolling her eyes. But up in the sky, sailing toward Hedgehog, she saw a colorful piece of paper. Oh no, she cried. This way and that way she ran as fast as she could. And then that drifted little piece of paper, of course, landed on her back. So now what does she have? She has a juicy red apple, 3 brown nuts, a small green pear, a crumpled leaf, and a beautiful piece of paper. I'll never get into my nest, she says. Next she sees a frog. While Hedgehog pattered along to the pond, gazed at a reflection, and all of a sudden there was the frog. Hello, Hedgehog. That's a lot of stuff on your back. Huh, I'm trying to get it off, rid of it, she said. Well, just dive in the water. Then it will come off. It'll wash off. Okay. So she dipped a toe in, and then the murky water, and then she dove in. Splash! Her friends watched, Hedgehog bobbing up and down, the juicy red apple and the 3 brown nuts and the small green pear and the crumpled brown leaf and the colorful paper were all still there, and now she had a pink water lily. I know, she had a pink water lily. Glug, 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 gurgled Hedgehog as the others heaved her out of the water. She did. She really did look funny. But Hedgehog did not find it funny. Stop laughing, she sputtered and stamped her feet on the ground. What? Where am I going to sleep? Pig and Squirrel looked worried, so did Frog. I have one last idea, oinked Frog. Squeeze through that hedge over there, and that will brush everything off. So Hedgehog closed her eyes and squeezed herself through the thick leaves. But did everything come off her back? Of course not. It was all still there. So were 4 ripe blackberries. And there, staring at her with a great look of surprise, a goat. Now, if you know what a goat does, a goat eats anything and everything. "Whoa!" cried Goat. "You brought lunch." "Help yourself," said Hedgehog. "Take it all." "Yippee!" brayed the goat. Then he picked off and ate the juicy red apple, then the 3 brown nuts, then the small green pear, then the pink water lily, and the 4 ripe blackberries, and for dessert, he ate the paper. The only thing he left was the crumpled brown leaf. He just couldn't eat anymore. "Hooray!" cried Hedgehog. She felt as light as a feather. "Thank you, Goat." And she ran as fast as her little legs could carry her through the gate, past the pond, across the orchard, under the tree, and home to her nest. Hedgehog squeezed into her little nest, and it fit her perfectly. It was the best nest outside. A cold wind blew, and another apple fell off the tree. But it didn't fall on Hedgehog. She was safe in her nest and fast, fast asleep. Isn't that a good one? I know. Now, it's about an apple, and believe it or not, because I'm going to have to read about a pink lady apple, so I actually took a pink lady apple out of the refrigerator. I bought 3 of them, and you're going to love this because, see the hole? Guess what? I actually got one that had a worm in it, because this is about an apple that has a worm in it. It's called the Bad Apple, Tale of Friendship, and it takes a strong core. There's lots of puns. Your parents will get it, I think. Takes a strong core to stand up to bullies. Now, this is the interesting thing. This book is by Edward Hemingway. He's the grandson of Ernest Hemingway. The design is by Ryan Thomas. The copyright's 2012. The publisher is Puffin Books, a Penguin Random House. Now, this is a picture of the grandson. This is Edward Hemingway. This, you guys, oops, I dropped it. This is Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway was one of the best writers in the United States in the early 20s and 30s and 40s. I mean, he wrote for a long time, even in the 50s. And he won a Pulitzer Prize one year, and the next year he actually won the Nobel Prize because of his style of writing. It's called the iceberg one. He just tells it like it is in very short sentences. You don't need to go on and with all the description. And that was the way he was. Okay, let me get down and get this. All right, here we go. And you're going to love his name. Mac. I know, I couldn't believe it. They did Mac the apple. Okay, I have a Mac at home. Mac was a good apple. He shared his toys with other apples. He helped Granny Smith, that's another type of apple, by the way, pick up after art class. And he loved to dive fearlessly into the watering hole. On a sunny day, Mac could bob for hours, because you see, that's one of the games at Halloween is you bob for apples, and it's not as easy as it sounds because you can't use your hands. On a cloudy day, Mac would search for the perfect pillow of green grass and take a long nap. Well, in his dreams, it was always sunny. But one day, as Mac lay sleeping, it began to rain. Soon, all the little creatures in the earth around him poked their heads out for look for higher ground. Some of them found safety under large toadstools. Others crawled onto stones and pebbles. But one small worm had another idea. When Mac woke up, he was covered in raindrops, but he wasn't alone. You won't believe the dream I just had. A funny little worm was tickling me right here. See, and there's the grasshopper and the ants and a beetle and the ladybug and even a butterfly, ooh, and a praying mantis. And now I can't seem to get him out of your head. It was you. And that's how Mac met Will. Well, Will showed Mac how to fly a kite with a leaf and fly himself. There he goes, he's doing it himself. And play in the dirt. He loved making a mess, because worms like to do that. Mac took his new friend to the watering hole to clean off. He couldn't remember a better day. Until he took Will to the orchard. Ew, look at Mac, he's got worms. Mac's a rotten apple. I'm not rotten. I'm quite sweet, actually, said the worm. So they left. Well, Will cheered Mac up by reading reading aloud from some of his favorite novels. He was a bit of a bookworm. It's another little pun. Mac liked the adventure stories best. He also liked it when Will finished his sentences for him. The most exciting part is when the pirates, yes, find the treasure in the dirt. Because, of course, remember, he loves dirt. Ha ha ha, it's a bad apple. And the next day it happened again. Ew, worms. And no one in the orchard would play with him, not even the crab apples. Oh, crab apples can be so mean. That's the Granny Smith apple talking about that. No, you know what? I think that's the golden apple. Well, that night, the two friends sat alone on the grass without saying a word. In the morning, Will was nowhere to be found. You are a good apple. Will. Of course, he wrote it in the dirt. Mac went back to playing with his orchard friends, diving furiously and feverishly into the watering hole and painting in Granny Smith's class. But nothing was the same. Look at his picture of apples with worms coming out of it. There was a hole in Mac that he couldn't fill. See, there's the hole. There's a little hole. Not a big hole, just a teeny tiny little, a small hole just big enough to fit. And nobody finished his sentences. Mac had to find Will. He searched low and high and in between. He searched in the dirt. There he is, upside down in the dirt. And around the watering hole. And just when he had given up all hope, he looked up in the sky. Ah, there's the leaf kite. Half a mile is the clearing. Ah! And there is Will with all of the other insects and bees and butterflies, and of course his line of books. Mac knew he'd rather be a bad apple with Will than a sad apple without him. I was hoping I could help me turn the pages. How did you know? Because you will always be a good apple in my book. Isn't that neat? Good and happy, and there's nothing bad about that. I thought that was a good one. Everybody needs to have something like this. Now, you're going to have to really pay attention to this book because there's going to be some questions. This is going to be your challenge, okay? This is Who Knew Under the Apple Tree? It is by Lori Lazaro Knowlton. It's illustrated by Steph Marshall. Copyright is 2021, and the publisher is AMICUS Amicus Inc. I know. And I'm going to read the final page, and that's going to be your answer. You're going to have to figure out on what pages things are on, okay? Are you ready? Who knew me? Under the apple tree. The apple tree is the first to know, heavy with harvest, its branches shiver. The chilly early morning breeze swirls past the apples, stirring fresh fallen leaves. Well, that night, what kind of animal is this? A raccoon, yes. Catches a whiff of the crisp apple-spiced air. She is the second to know. She chatter, prattle, jabbers to announce the news. Her cubs follow her, jabbering to the apple tree. They climb, dropping apples to the ground, where they feast on them. Okay. Oh, you know what this is with the red breast? That is a robin. A young speckled-breasted robin is the third to know. She sees the ripe red-faced fruit and tweets an early morning medley to announce the news. Her friends peck their beaks in the perfect apples. Well, under the apple tree, a bustling bee is the fourth to know. He tastes a raccoon's half-eaten apple. The bee buzzes all the way to the hive. Then he wiggle, waggle, dances to announce the news, and his friends follow his dance to the apple tree. Now the fifth is a cautious woodchuck. She hears apples, drum dilly dum, from the ground. She nuzzles her pups' noses to announce the news. Her pups follow their lumbering mother to the apple tree. They nibble, they stand and listen, and they nibble some more. Whoops, here comes a kid. Uh-oh. Well, now the sixth, who knows, is a what? A little ant. She's hungry, and her antennas smell and feel a bruised apple. Returning to the hive, she tickle-taps her ant colony foragers to announce the news. Look at them go. And the foragers follow her apple-sweet smelling path to the apple tree. Oh, my goodness. Now we have the seventh one. And it is a squirrel. It's scampering round and round, seeing the tree he chitters. Chee-chee, 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 to announce the news. His friends follow the chit-chat-chit call, chasing each other up the apple tree. Oh, and there goes the raccoons and the bees and the woodchucks and oh my goodness, and the birds, everybody. To pluck the wonderful plump apples. Well, a mouse. Oh, there's a mouse. Oh, there's a lot of mice. A mouse rustling under the leaves is the eighth to know. Avoiding the squirrels, he fills his cheeks. He skitters back to his nest, squeak, squeak, squeaky, to announce the news. His family falls in line, sprinkling back to the apple tree. Shh, who's that? It's the curly dog, is the ninth to know. She sniffs, 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 following creatures' scent trails to the apple tree, drooling delicious animal smells mingled with the delectable apples. She woof, woof, woofs, returning to her boy to announce the news. What is it, girl? Asked the boy. Well, the boy is the 10th to know. Mama, Papa, look. The boy reaches and grabs the sun-kissed apple. Yum, he says. Fall is here. The apple tree told me so. The apple tree shimmies in the late afternoon breeze. Now, everybody knows it's fall. And I think fall is going to be on the 22nd of September. I think I didn't write it down. But here is your challenge. Are you ready? Dear reader, do you like being first in line? What grade do you wish you were in? Have you ever won a second place ribbon? Terms like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th are called ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers are the numbers that fall in positional order. Do you remember who was the third one in the story? Can you remember who the third one was? It was a bird. Can you remember what kind of bird it was? Robin. Speckled robin. Okay, can you remember who the seventh one was? And it makes a very, very high shrill sound. A very high shrill sound. It's the squirrel. The squirrel is the seventh one, yes. All right, now. The creatures in the story use their 5 senses to discover fall. Using your 5 senses, can you describe fall where you live? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you hear? And what do you feel? So that should be interesting. See if you can find, because it starts, I think it is September 22nd, I think. That's when fall officially starts. And see if you can do what you see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. The creatures in the story talked to each other without using words. Do you remember the ways some of the creatures talked to each other? If you could put the dog's woof, woof, woofs into words, what do you think the dog said to the little boy? Tons of challenges on that one. You're gonna love this next one. Now I get to show. All right, this is Pinkalicious, and it's Apples, Apples, Apples. It's by Victoria Carr. Artistic and editorial contributions, Dynamo 7 and Natalie Engel. And Dynamo and Natalie Engel, and it's 2016 Harper Village Festival imprint. It's a HarperCollins publisher. All right, so I have to show you. So this, because this is a type of an apple. This is a pink lady. Okay, that's the name of the apple, and she is Pinkalicious. You guys, I didn't realize there's a whole bunch of stories about Pinkalicious. Look at this. I mean, you name it. So if some of you have some of the Pinkalicious ones, I think you'll like this apple one, okay? Here we go. And then you get to dance. Gotta have you dance again. All right, we were at the Pinkville Orchard. It was apple harvest day. Peter and I found a map of the farm. I read the names of different apple trees. Pinka, wow, I shouted. There's a kind of an apple called a pink lady. I couldn't believe it. It's a Pinka perfect apple. I had to find it right away. Well, Peter and I searched through rows and rows of trees. We found red apples and green apples and giant apples and tiny apples, but no pink ladies. Keep looking, Peter, I said. They've got to be here somewhere. Oh, Pinkalicious, Peter called from behind. Look what I found. I turned around and I saw my little brother with his arms full of round, rosy apples. Pink ladies for a pink lady, yeah, he said. Well, Peter and I giggled as we put the apples in our wagon. Let's get some more, I said. We ran back and forth until we filled up the wagon. More, asked Peter. More, I answered. By the time we found Mommy and Daddy, our apple pile was an apple pyramid of beautiful pink ladies. Oh dear, Mommy said. What are we going to do with all of this fruit? Well, Peter and I looked at each other. We hadn't thought of that. Oh my gosh. Well, some of the apples are falling off. Well, we rode home very carefully and very slowly. Peter and I kept looking back to make sure the apples didn't fall off the wagon. Oh dear, Mommy said. Again, and straight ahead of us was a giant hill. Mommy looked at Daddy and Daddy looked at me. Uh-oh, I said. Up and up and up we climbed. We pedaled and pushed our way to the top. At long last, we were almost home. I could see all of Pinkville down below. I was so excited to get home that I started pedaling faster. Wait, said Daddy, be careful, or the apples will... There went all the apples. Oh, Daddy didn't get to finish his sentence. He was interrupted by the sound of rolling apples. The pink ladies fell out of the wagon and went flying down the hill. We tried to catch them, but they were rolling much too fast. In just a few seconds, the streets of Pinkville were covered with fruit. Come on, I yelled. We gotta get our apples. So Peter and Mommy ran in one direction and Daddy and I ran in the other. We followed the apples as they tumbled down the street, picking them up one by one. We searched high and low for our missing pink ladies. Mommy and Peter found a bunch that rolled onto the schoolyard. Mr. Swizzle had some by the front door of his ice cream parlor. I saw the hiding place under the rose bush in Pinkville. And of course there's even a whole bunch of stickers too, which is fun. Little by little, we gathered up all the pink ladies and brought them home. Then we washed and washed them some more. Some of them were a bit bruised, but they were still good enough to eat. So we ate them all week. We had apples with every meal. apple cake and apple crumble and apple sauce and apple cider, sliced apples, diced apples, dried apples, fried apples, even apple ice cream. By Friday, we had eaten nothing but apples, and we still had many left. It felt like we were never going to finish. Well, that night, I thought about how we had too many apples and not enough people to eat them. And I thought about how my family had looked for the pink lady apples all over town. That's when I had an idea. Since we couldn't eat all the apples on our own, maybe we could share them with the rest of Pinkville and call it Apple Appreciation Day. The next day, I brought a shiny, fresh apple and a whole apple pie to school and gave it to Mrs. Penny. "Thank you, Pinkalicious," she said. "To what do I owe this surprise?" "It's Apple Appreciation Day. I appreciate you, Miss Penny, so you get an Applelicious treat. Thank you for being the best teacher ever." And I want you to know, for 10 out of the 34 years, I taught elementary school. And of course, I loved apples. I did themes, apple themes all the time. And I got, the kids are so good year after year, many of the kids would bring me apples. You always can bring an apple to your teacher. I mean, they always love it. Just make sure that it doesn't have a, a thing in it, yeah. Well, my friend, Miss Allison was out sick, and so when I got home, Mommy and I went over to her house with a basket of apples. "I'm sorry you're sick. Since an apple a day keeps the doctor away, I hope this gets you healthy for a long, long time." Allison giggled. She bit into an apple. "I feel better already," she said. Well, everywhere we went, we handed out apples and apple treats. Finally, we reached Mr. Swizzle's shop. We gave him a small container of the apple ice cream. "Mr. Swizzle, you spent all day making sweet treats for everyone else in Pinkville. This time we wanted to make something delicious for you. Happy Apple Appreciation Day." He took one bite. "This is marvelous. This is excellent. This is positively Applelicious." "What do you call it?" "Pink Lady Surprise." "Oh, Supreme, Pink Lady Supreme," I said with a smile. By that evening, we had given away almost all of our apples. We only had one left. "Looks like Apple Appreciation Day was a huge success," said Mommy and Daddy, giving me a big hug. Then, now this you gotta really watch, okay? Pay attention. Then Mommy took the last apple out of the basket. "This one's for Pinkalicious," she said. And as she cut it in half and twisted it open, so she cuts it this way. She cuts it in half this way, okay? Inside there is a star. The core with all the seeds makes a star. "A pink lady with a star inside," said Daddy. "That sounds like someone I know. Thanks for being so generous with the apples and for thinking of other people," said Mommy and Daddy. "You are our star." So try that sometime. Cut the apple this way instead of like you normally do, and you will see a beautiful star. I know, isn't that fun? Yes. Okay, going to take a really short break because Mika's going to come in and you are going to have to do, are you ready? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So while I'm waiting for her to come in, I'm going to read it to you. All right, point to your head, nod your head, yes, shake your head, no. Okay, and your shoulders, where are your shoulders? Can you shrug your shoulders up and down? Okay, knees, can you tap your knees? And toes, can you wiggle your toes? Knees and toes. So you have to go head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. You have to repeat that, okay? So you got to do that. And then you have to look at your eyes. You have to blink your eyes. All right? And then you have to do your ears. Okay? So eyes and ears. And then you have to do your mouth. And then your nose. And then you go back to... Oh, come on. You go back to... head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Okay, we're going to do it 3 times, and every time we do it, we're going to go, Miss Tasha's going to go a little bit softer, and then see, but it's going to be fast. Oh my God, are we going to, the 3rd time is going to be so fast. Okay.
Hey, it's me. Sing and dance along.
Shoulders, knees, and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Are you ready to sing it faster?
Here we go.
Let's go!
Shoulders, knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees and toes,
Let's go even faster.
Here we go.
Are you ready? Here we go!
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Really fast.
Okay, here we go, last time.
Shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Good job.
All right, thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that lovely, you all should know head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And if you don't, you know it now. Now, you guys, you are not going to believe Miss Tasha next month, because it's my favorite month, because it's my birthday month, and because it's Halloween. And I have so many Halloween things to do that the whole month is going to be Halloween. So 2 times I'm going to do Halloween stories. And I have a new cute thing that you're going to have to dance to. It's going to be so much fun. It's a new ghost. It's fabulous. So anyway, I hope that you learned about apples. And I hope that you eat a lot of apples, because remember, an apple day keeps the doctor away. And have a good fall, because September starts fall. Bye-bye.